Hey, what's up people? It's Rohan, your personal trainer here. Today in this video I'm running you through the 5 most common bench press mistakes that I see people making. Now if you make any of these mistakes, it's important to fix it, because not only will it help you progress faster, pro performance is going to make you stronger faster, it's also going to help prevent injury. Some of these mistakes are more prone to injury than others, but if you make any of these, please just take a second, take a break from your workouts, trying to get stronger every time. We're just going to try to fix this first and then we're going to move on, okay? Because these mistakes will set you back in the long run. All right, mistake number 1 is going to be the angle of your arms, okay? If your arms are up too high, your shoulders are going to get involved, your triceps are going to get involved, the chest is going to be mostly out of it. If your arms are too close, it's a very odd position to be in. Much more difficult, okay? So we're going to have about 45 degrees at the arms, or 45 degrees at the armpit, like the angle, and then bringing the bar down to the lower chest and pushing straight up to the ceiling, kind of like that, okay? So I'll show you that on the bench press. So you don't want to be bringing it down to the neck, guillotining yourself. That's a completely different exercise, which I don't even recommend for most clients. You don't want to be bringing it down too low. That's much more difficult, that's triceps. We're going to bring it to about 45 degrees, down to the lower chest and up to the sky. Mistake number 2 is going to be keeping your lower back flat. This is probably the most common one that a lot of people make, especially if they don't really have someone to point it out for them. It's not easy to realize that proper posture is not flattening the lower back, because that's going to bring the shoulders off the bench, and your spine's not going to be in the strongest position if your lower back is flat. Okay, we want a natural arch, we want the feet on the ground. That's the next mistake, and then pulling the shoulders back. For any of my clients, I just cue them to pull their shoulders back, keep their shoulders back into the bench. Naturally, they'll create an arch in the lower back. Keep that. Don't try to flatten it. Don't use your core to flatten your lower back. That's a worse position for the bench press. Now, if you want any proof, just go look at the world record bench presses. They all have like an insane arch in the lower back. We're not going that crazy. They're putting their body on the line for a world record. We're just trying to work on our bench press, so we're going to have a natural arch. We're going to keep the core tight, and we're going to pull those shoulders back into the bench, okay? That's what it's going to look like. All right, so you're going to want to have the feet on the ground, shoulders back, and then natural arch in the lower back. Keep the core tight, and then again, we're going to be bringing it down to the lower chest and up to the sky. If you flatten your lower back, you can see my shoulders are already coming off the bench. It's a lot less stable than just having a slight arch in the lower back, keeping the shoulders down, and letting the chest take the movement over. All right, mistake number 3 is going to tie right into the last mistake, is not having the feet in a stable position, okay? You might be on the tiptoes, you might be up with the feet on the bench. That's the worst one. That's going to flatten your lower back again. That's going to bring the shoulders off the bench, okay? Have the feet stable on the ground. There's a lot of leg drive involved, surprisingly. In the bench press you might not feel it, but having the legs in a stable position is definitely going to help your lift. Okay, mistake number 4 is going to be a little less common, but if you kind of know what you're doing, you might make this mistake thinking that it's the right thing to do. It's going to be rounding the back at the top of the lift because you think you're squeezing the chest. Like with a chest fly, you're coming up and you're squeezing. With a bench press, we're not squeezing at the top. That brings the shoulders off the bench, that flattens the lower back. Again, not what we want. And also it just takes the chest out of it more than squeezing it like the other exercises might, okay? So this is what it's going to look like. You'll see it's almost like 2 different exercises attached to each other. So starting in a good position, coming down to the lower chest, pressing up, and then rounding and squeezing. That's not what we want. It's not going to help at all. That's not what we want, okay? Keep the chest big, keep the shoulders back, let the chest take the movement. Save that rounding of the back for chest flies, for the pec deck or something like that. For the bench press, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep those shoulders back. The bigger the chest is, this is a good cue, the bigger the chest is, the more it's going to take over the movement. Pull those shoulders back, really pull them back. All right, mistake number 5 that I'm sure a lot of us are guilty of making is going too heavy, too fast, okay? It's like the tortoise and the hare sprints off, gets tired. I actually don't know the story, but the tortoise focuses on form, make sure he's doing it right, and in the long run, it's gonna progress a lot further without injury, without setbacks. It's gonna be a lot better in the long run, okay? So really, just focus on doing it correctly. Maybe take it up slowly. Just take another example of the world record bench press. They all have really perfect form. They all have really, really good form. If they didn't, they wouldn't even be on that stage, okay? You can only get so far with that form until you plateau, you reach a level where you can't go any further, you get injured, and you get set back to where you were before. All right, there's your 5 most common bench press mistakes. If you make any of these mistakes, please focus on fixing it. It's going to set you up for success in the long run. Just take a second, take a break from your workouts, the regular workouts, and just focus on fixing these mistakes. Really cue yourself. You might want to even record yourself, look back at it, or have someone watch you who knows what they're doing, and just see if you're making any of these mistakes and see if you can fix them. If you like this video, give it a like. Maybe share it with someone who you know makes a lot of these mistakes, and I'll see you in the next video.